Welcome to Secrets from the Scene, a show for local musicians who want to improve their music, grow their audience, and learn about Minnesota's music scene. If you're interested in talking about all things music related and meeting interesting people from our local community, you're in the right place. Welcome to Secrets from the Scene. My name is Stephen Helvig, and I'm your host. We're here at my recording studio, Helvig Productions, out in the western burbs of the Twin Cities. And today's guests are Aaron Mader and Jeff Allen of the Plastic Constellations. The Plastic Constellations were an indie rock band that came up in the 90s and 2000s era, built a strong following in the local Twin Cities music scene, and have come back, reemerged from the abyss.
From the ashes.
After a 15-plus year hiatus. They called it semi-quits in 2008 and are back today. Today's conversation is going to be kind of a fun one. I think it's going to be pretty casual. We're going to focus on what it was like being a band in that era, and what was different and what's kind of coming back. Friendship, playing music after a long break, what muscle memory feels like after all that time. And ultimately what it's like to come back to this music in your 40s versus your 20s. So without further ado, please welcome Aaron and Jeff.
Let's put the plan into action. Keep moving, just push through this. Hold on, stay strong. We're not built to stay in one place too long. No giving, just keep moving. Bring what you bring. 'Cause we were born to do extraordinary things.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. An
Appreciate
absolute
it.
pleasure.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys down here with me. I'm looking forward to this. I remember the Plastic Constellations because you guys were out in the scene when I was in college. you
Okay,
know,
awesome.
And so as I was starting to figure out the Twin Cities music scene, that name came up a lot. And so it's fun to have you down here now.
Yeah,
A couple of unks.
chopped unks.
You
Happy
guys,
to be here, and it's cool to be here in particular because this location in the Western Burb is actually really close to where we grew up.
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Started young, Hopkins
Yeah.
High.
We feel the pull out here. We feel the pull back to Hopkins.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, as you guys came up, podcasts didn't exist. What's it like to be talking about the band now on a podcast?
This is our first podcast.
It's our first podcast.
Wow.
For sure.
Didn't
I
think
think the
about
only interviews we ever really did were either at community or college radio. And I remember when Pulse of the Twin Cities,
Shout out.
that was our first big spread. Keith Harris interviewed us at Bob's Java Hut in Uptown.
Shout
Oh,
out.
wow.
Bob's Java.
So yeah, this is new to us. Podcast, video podcasts.
Very new.
I'm
all
glad
new.
I was able to secure this exclusive
Yeah.
rights.
Oh
of the
yeah.
first,
I know. I mean, you
Plastic
did.
Constellations
You did pay
podcast.
well.
Yeah.
I want to put that out there.
Highest bidder.
Highest
Yeah.
bidder. Absolutely right. It was a deadlock there for
The
a minute.
free coffee bid you put in was great.
That was nice. Yep. That was nice.
I'll jump into questions right away because, all right, so, social media wasn't really a thing outside of maybe MySpace,
Yeah.
podcasts, of course, YouTube, all of that doesn't exist. You're getting together now. What's the process of getting people's attention again? How do you reach everybody? Is it just all through personal accounts, basically?
It's like
Yeah.
text messages.
Yeah.
Maybe telling our friends to tell their parents, their kids' parents and shit like that.
Old school. Yeah, because we never had. Well, we had a website that I
We
think
did
the
have a
domain
website.
has now lapsed. What we did own the plasticconstellations.com at one point.
Okay.
And so in the 2000s that and our MySpace page were our primary means of letting the world know what we were up to.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of literally just playing anywhere we possibly could and hoping that someone was in the room and that they would tell their friend about it. I mean, that was kind of it. It was we'd send our tapes and our CDs out to zines to review them, and we'd just play everything.
Yeah. So now we're kind of ill-prepared for promoting this show.
Well, I'm kind of curious if ill-prepared, but at the same time, there's an element where I wonder if it'll be more effective because all you have is I have to reach out to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus I think, you go, oh, I'll just post it on social media and be done with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably a surprisingly bad way to promote things a lot of times. Whereas sending out a good old text message or email,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
might be more effective.
Right.
Yeah, you reach out to your people for sure.
Yeah.
It has been fun to even like when we were gonna put out the flyer, we're like, shit, we all just have personal. There is no Plastic Constellations Instagram, although
No.
Jordan's wife Erin may have secured that with some underscores.
Made one, but it has like 5 files.
So it's like right.
Shout out Runes. Thanks for that.
Shout out Runes. We have to, do like the invite collaborator on Instagram with all 4 of us and just hope to God that somebody cares. But luckily, there are still a lot of people from our era of music out and about and in the mix. So people are hearing about it at least.
Yeah.
There's 50 more tickets left, y'all. You need to act fast. Turf Club, April 18th.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
We'll do a proper promo.
Okay,
as well,
good.
yeah. But there can never be too many.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What made this the right time to do this again?
You know, I don't know if it was any one thing in particular. I mean, I guess like so we've stayed friends forever.
Yeah.
So even after the band went on hiatus, I mean, we have all essentially stayed really, really close.
And we should, just for backstory, since maybe a lot of people don't even know who the Plastic Constellations are, we like started a band in 8th grade in
Yeah.
94.
Yeah.
I met Jeff the first day of 8th grade or of 7th grade. And I think you had a Sonic Youth t-shirt on or something. And I was like, this is my guy.
Yep.
And then we had a band a year later and we've just been doing this ever since, but we've been best friends since then.
Yeah.
And we've raised our kids now together. And so anyways, continue. Just a little backstory there.
No, you nailed it. Like, I mean, essentially, like our roots together as friends are way deeper than even just like the roots as the band. So we've stayed in constant contact, remained best friends, like you said, raised our kids in neighborhood vicinity.
Yeah.
You know, so at a certain point, it just started to become like it would be kind of fun if we did this again, right? Just for no other reason that just that like even playing a show would require us to then have multiple practices, which would require us to get together and hang out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it really was just born pretty organically. I don't think there was like a magic moment.
I think for the last 2 years, we've ended up having, weirdly enough, like a TPC reunion hang on like the weekend of 420, which was not intentional, but it did happen.
It was always on 420.
And we were like, okay, this 2 times means it's like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of like our 3rd year as a TPC hang, and we're actually going to play a show.
Yeah.
I love it. Coming back to this, has it felt like you're picking it up again, or does it basically feel like you're discovering something new?
For me, it feels like I'm starting a new band, and I am going into that band without the knowledge or ability to play guitar at all. It has been an absolutely nightmare situation for me. I cannot tell you the anxiety I've experienced over the last 4 months, but it's coming back now. How about you, Jeff? You never lost it.
You're locked in now. To me, it feels a little like 50-50. Like it feels brand new in the sense that it's been a really long time since we had the experience of like we are playing loud music together and we're doing good.
Yeah.
Like those are, I mean, that's a high you know,
No,
once you feel
absolutely.
it again, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this. But it also feels a little bit like riding a bike too. Like, you know, I think like once you get past we got past the initial rehearsal of like absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
awful first rehearsal. but
Really,
we had a
really
lot of
bad.
fun. It feels like, oh yeah, this is what this feels like.
Yeah.
So a little bit of both.
And we've been taking our time. I mean, we agreed to like actually go all in on this, I don't know, over 6 months ago or something. And then, you know, in the fall, we went to Matt Scherenbach's, our drummer's, his parents' cabin.
Shout out Mark and Sue.
Shout out Mark and Sue, where we would like record when we were in high school. We went back there to the roots and we spent a whole weekend and we locked in. And that was when I knew that I had a lot of homework to do. But it has, like, muscle memory is truly blowing my mind. I was never a big science guy in school.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking about listening to some science podcasts, man, because it's kind of crazy.
Okay.
Because we wrote songs without really knowing how to play guitar. We didn't have like teachers, or we didn't like read tab and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At least I didn't.
No.
I think I knew how to play like one Korn song, and then we covered like the Beach Boys' Kokomo at one point.
We did.
But
It's a solid set list.
yeah, right.
Pretty good, right?
But so everything we did, we learned from each other, and it was just like from fucking around. Oh, this kind of sounds cool. And you'd be like, I could do something kind of weird that accompanies that. And then, so there is no like, oh, then I was going to the D sharp diminished minor into the,
Yeah.
so truly I was left with just like my hands have to figure it out eventually. And thank God I have Jeff who knows everybody's parts. We can always rely on. But by like the third practice, I was like, if I could just turn my brain off, my hand would figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like a Addams Family situation.
So the lesson to all of us is don't go 15 years without playing the guitar and then try to pick it up.
That's right.
But you can get back on the
But you can get back on the horse through science.
through science.
Has it made you want to keep playing?
It's made me want to play more frequently, for sure. And it's also made me think about the guitar and how I'd like to incorporate that in like my solo Laserbeak work, which
Yeah.
is generally super sample based and chopped and everything like that. It's made me think about what if the samples started as little guitar ideas and then I was able to mess with those as opposed to outside sources. So that's got me excited for sure. I'm always looking for like the next thing to like sink into, and that is where my head's at right now. So
I like that idea. If you're going to tease that, now I'm going to follow up on it and make
Okay.
sure you do it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be great.
let's put it in a shared Google calendar.
We could do that. But one of my favorite Laserbeak solo albums is the Legend Recognized Legend LP from 2010, which was heavily guitar based and
It was.
sample based.
Yeah, it was a combination. It was like oh man, my band is done, and also I still play guitar mostly, but I'm making beats. So, and the last TPC show was the release show for that album.
That's right.
TPC and Doomtree played. I was very proud.
At the Fine Line.
The Fine Line.
So what happened in 2008 that the hiatus came up? What was the impetus for that?
Man, life had kicked in pretty fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had toured throughout high school when we'd have like spring break or summer break, and then we toured extremely hard in our early 20s. And some people were going to college, but we were like, this is it. We're going to give it our like biggest, best shot, signed to a big label in New York. And I don't know, then life kicked.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things, but like what you described of like we went after it really, really hard from like 2005 through 2007. For like 2 years there, we had signed to French Kiss and had gotten a little bit of national recognition finally after largely just being like a locally recognized band before that. So we're like, we're doing it. We're putting our lives on hold. We're touring, you know, even Jordan, I think, quit his job, you know, and the rest of us figured out flexible work schedules and we just made it work. And truly one of the greatest experiences of our lives. Wouldn't trade it for anything. But I think as we started to get to the end of it, we were like, okay, we've got a whole nother batch of songs that's a record. Do we want to do this all over again? Or is that something we're ready to commit to? And I think all of us, even though we were having an incredible time, kind of thought like, you know, I'm not sure we're ever going to like blow up necessarily. Like we're kind of just our own thing and we're not. So if we do this again for 2 years, it means delaying things like spending more time with your wife, you know, shout out Scoops.
Shout out Scoops.
You know, and, you know, actually having a stable job, you know, things like that. And I think it just got to be a tougher thing to think through if we wanted to do it. So then we sat down one night at Elsie's.
No, Gabby's, which is no longer, which then turned into
Psycho
Susie's. But Gabby's was our spot where we went real deep.
Yeah.
We go down in the basement, we'd get real deep.
But we said in advance, we're like, okay, everybody think about if you want to tour again or not.
Yeah.
Before we meet. And then we're going to meet, we're going to get super drunk.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of Budweisers.
And then we're going to figure out if we will continue touring or not. And the conclusion at the end of many drinks was, no, well, we shouldn't tour anymore. So that kind of made it. And then it was like, well, if we're not going to tour, then let's just put out this last record and like say goodbye.
Play a big show and then, call it. And it was an indefinite hiatus, which is good because now we can come back and it's like, okay, cool. We don't have to be like, it's not earth shattering, but it does feel special. I mean, we had reached the point where like, it was always, we were like, you're just hoping for the next thing. And it was always like, all right, you guys got submitted to the Pretty Girls Make Graves tour as main support. Like, can you put your lives on hold for 2 months if they say yes to that? Or maybe you can open up for Modest Mouse. It was always the like, you know, you can cling on to that hope. This is kind of like what it's like to live in LA, I think. Like, there's always that one thing hanging there that might get you to the next level. But it was just, we were starting to plateau. And where we plateaued was not a place where we could all live off of music by any means.
Right.
So
getting back together to do these shows, who's pulling out like the old boxes of merch?
I think we actually gave away all the merch by the end of it. Yeah. We are making new merch though, which is really crazy.
Oh, wow.
Shout out CQ and Lolo.
Shout out.
Our friends who are designing it. There's going to be one tour t-shirt.
limited edition
Yeah.
tour T-shirt just for representing the 3 shows we're playing that weekend.
Because we have decided that 3 shows makes a tour.
That's right.
And we have called this tour the 3 shows makes a tour.
That's right.
I think that's accurate these days.
Right?
2
You know?
shows, not a tour.
Weekend warrior.
I would argue that 2 shows makes a tour also, but I don't want to get ahead of myself here.
That's a different. We don't
That's
have time.
controversial. Yeah, exactly. That's a different podcast. But yes, 3 shows unequivocally makes a tour at this point, especially if there are 3 shows back to back to back with no days off.
Please, that's a tour.
Take me back to the beginning where the band is I mean, obviously the 8th grade story.
Yeah.
Things, you're learning your instruments. That's actually very similar to how my band started.
Really? Yeah.
8th, 9th grade, you're learning instruments together.
Yeah.
You kind of learn some covers. You eventually start writing some music. It's a beautiful thing. I
Yes.
love
It
it.
is. It's the best.
It is.
Pure joy.
Yeah.
What about, okay, you get to the point where you're not just playing high school stuff. You start playing out gigs, real clubs, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. It's the late 90s, the early 2000s. What was that like? How did you start building momentum as a band?
I mean, I could say for the Twin Cities, we were playing birthday parties and basement shows and literal school dances. And then the Foxfire Coffee Lounge opened up in downtown in a building that is basically across the street from the Fine Line. So like right downtown.
Yeah.
And it was the first all ages venue in the city that we had experienced. And we were so sad because we were like indie rock kids and all the shows we wanted to see were going to like the 400 Bar or 21 Up venues. And just as fans of music, we couldn't see them, let alone play. And we just started going to every single show at that place. It was $5 tickets. They started bringing in awesome bands, and we just started showing our faces, getting to meet people. Eventually, we mailed our 7-inch to the booker of that venue. And I remember writing like a handwritten 2-page note about how much the venue meant to us just as fans.
Yeah.
And then sent the 7-inch like just to consider us. And then I remember going a week later to a show, and that letter was magneted up on the refrigerator of the coffee shop that they ran. And so that was my angle into like, oh, now I can introduce myself.
Yeah.
So then I went up and shook Tom's hand. It was like, that's our band. And he agreed to have us. He gave us a Monday night.
A Sunday night.
A Sunday night, even better. we had started our own record label called Pretentious Records. So he gave us a record label showcase night and to see what we could do. And us and 2 other bands that are friends played. And we brought like 80 people from Hopkins High School out
On a Sunday.
on a Sunday night. And he was like, oh, these guys are actually serious about this. That led to us opening up for bigger local acts, which then, as the fan base grew, gave us our own headlining night. And then from there, I don't know. I'm just talking about a very specific time, but that was like, I think about that all the time because it truly was, it was an intentional play, but it's how I still live my life to this day. Like it is coming from a pure and honest place of gratitude.
Yeah.
Thank you for providing us this venue. And also we're a band. We'd love to play your venue. Like it's, I'm not trying to get over on anyone or just ask for something. So that worked. And that has been my process ever since.
I think you nailed it. Like we got really lucky that this like once in a lifetime opportunity in the city opened up for there to be this like place where kids our age with bands now had a new place to be, where we were not just welcomed, but it was also like encouraged, combined with the fact that I feel like you in particular have always been really good at this, but we've always tried to approach everything of like you're building relationships and community. It's not transactional. It should just be like, as long as you're cool to people and treat them well and like be genuine, like that's the biggest like way to get your band noticed.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that like they get if any booker at a club or whatever gets 1 million demos or SoundCloud links these days, and it's hard for them to distinguish one or the other, but if they meet you at a show and you're cool and you're nice and you are genuine, like that's a force multiplier.
Yeah.
Totally.
What were shows like in that era?
They were fucking fun.
They were really
I just remember being so I literally drove by the Taco Bell on 394 394. We would always go to the Taco Bell either before or after on our way back to the
Let's
birth.
really stop and think about where it is. Okay.
I
people
drove-
want to hear that.
I drove by it by the North Memorial Urgent Care on my way here. right by the general store. It was our Taco Bell. Where
That's
we'd
on
go.
7.
Oh, that's on
Oh, it's on 7. It was on
Highway
7. It
Still
was the
there.
Taco Bell. It's still there.
Still there.
Live Moss.
But it was a big deal. I mean, we were going to high school in Hopkins, so like to be able to come into the city and also have a place, and we had always been taking the bus into the city every weekend to go record shopping. Like we wanted to be in Minneapolis, and
Yeah.
to then find a bunch of kids who were coming in from other suburbs as well, and like all being in a big sweaty room experiencing rock shows, any type of show. It was everything.
How you guys both have kids?
Yeah.
What are the oldest?
guy.
My oldest is 17.
All right.
I'm a really old person.
The reason I ask is, do they have an all ages venue that you've gone to them with?
No. There has to be.
Well, the Pillar is an all ages forum now.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
That's newish.
Yeah. But I haven't taken my kids to a specific like all ages venue, I don't think.
No.
Well, because, when I ask about what were shows like in that area, I think it's easy for us to look back and the nostalgia
Yeah,
and see it
sure,
through
sure.
that lens. And I'm just kind of curious what it is like now, but particularly because I think that there's struggles from venues just because of the amount of competition with entertainment.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that one of the big things that was so different about that time is that it was easy to get sort of excitement and momentum around a night.
Yeah.
That because it was hard to find stuff to do. I mean,
Right.
not
Right.
that there was nothing to do, but
There was less to do.
But there
It
was
was-
less to do. It was simpler.
It was less attainable
or at least
for sure.
you didn't know everything that was going on.
Yeah.
There could only be so many things that were on your radar.
yeah.
Right.
And so when something like a show came up, it would be rare.
Yeah.
And it was a lot easier to get momentum and excitement around, oh, our friends are playing down there. And then like you tell a couple people at your
Yeah,
school and it
yeah.
was like getting 80 people there. Not that it was easy, but it was not that hard either. If you
Yeah.
had a group of friends,
No question.
Yeah.
and you could get like a lot of excitement around something like that because it was unique.
Yeah.
I still think it's unique for any sort of high school band to go out and play an all-ages show, but I think it's probably harder to get that momentum around it.
Well, there's less like things pulling at your attention too, right? Like we didn't have phones we could have spent all night on our phones. I did spend many hours like talking on a landline, probably to you.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was like you go home from school, you play guitar in your room, talk to your friends on the phone. And that was kind of the things that you did. So there weren't, I didn't play video games. Like this was the thing. And so it was like it's like, when people meet at the mall on the weekend or something like that. It's like, oh, we're going to go to this show, hang out in the lounge room, and then go watch the music.
That is totally different now. Like, so my 17-year-old has so many things that he could do on any given night, right? And a lot of the times, and I think this is true of a lot of kids, especially kids who grew up during COVID,
Yeah.
they got into the, and I don't think this is bad, but they hang out online with their friends.
Yeah.
They play games together and they get on a Discord channel and they talk and they crack jokes all night. And it actually sounds like they're having a great time.
Yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
I don't think it's bad. I'm not like a
Sure.
anti that guy.
Sure.
But it is less common for them to go get together in person than it would have been for your generation or mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but when they do go out, it's because a friend is just had an idea like we should do this thing. And I think shows can still be that.
I honestly think so too. And I have to imagine that to some extent, it's exactly the same as it always
Right.
was.
Right.
But
There's less shows. There's less like Netflix shows. There were less Netflix shows. If there were the amount of like Netflix and Amazon Prime shows back in the 90s, I think it would be harder to go out because there's so many shows.
But I
man.
also think there's part of it is I think that obviously there are still young bands and there are still places like the Pillar, although I think it's rare. It was rare
Yeah.
then too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like there was a ton of all ages shows.
Yeah.
But I think the pressure of having everything documented changes things too, though. Because
What do you mean by that? Say more.
like if everything that you do in your life is filmed and instantly shareable to everybody that you know.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know,
can
that
get
wasn't
in
a
your
thing
head.
when we started playing
Yeah.
music. Like somebody might have a camcorder, maybe,
Point.
but
Right.
only a few people would ever see that.
So you're saying that maybe kids are a little nervous about like not doing
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to
right.
play your first show. That's a scary thing.
Right.
It's a lot of fun, but it's also terrifying.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah. There's a fear of failing more now, I think,
I think so.
That's interesting.
which is a freaking bummer, y'all. Let's not
Yeah.
be scared to fail.
Interesting. Yeah. How do you get over that?
I don't know. Outside of that, you just have to you just have to do it. You have to be. I mean, on one hand, I think the people that are willing to do that are well set up.
Yeah,
for,
right.
for life and music.
Right.
You know, like,
Just life in general, right?
Life
So
in
yeah,
general.
yeah.
that you do have to do that. But I think part of it might be that supportive spaces. You could also have, venues could also take some steps to limit, maybe at all ages venues to limit phone
Sure,
use.
Maybe
sure.
we're going full Jack White, Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
You got to put your phone
Dave
in the
Chappelle,
pouch,
yeah.
Have you
Put it
guys
in the
done the
pouch.
whole phone in the pouch show stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
I loved it.
It's great.
Yeah, and those are the two shows.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I saw Jack White a couple years ago, and then Bob Dylan last summer. And yeah, I mean the process of getting your phone into the pouch, and then you have to get something to unlock it. Like the administration.
Yeah.
Of that was kind of annoying.
Yeah, sure. Logistics are tough.
I was sort of
Yeah.
like in the process of doing it. This is annoying. I just
Yeah.
want to go to the show, but the show itself was like everyone was more locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just annoying to have people in front of you just constantly
Yeah.
filming the whole thing.
yeah.
It's just like, what are we doing here?
I did experience. So I love I love MJ Lenderman, like pretty much everybody. And going to his show at First Ave was the first show I had seen where he clearly had a song that had like hit on TikTok or something like that, but it was just the chorus of a song, and there were all these young kids there, and I was super pumped. I was like, oh, this guy's like kind of doing this weird Southern indie rock thing, and all these young kids are into it. Awesome. But all the phones came up for like 20 seconds of a chorus. And then they went down, and everyone sang along to that moment, and then no one sang the rest of the song, and it was like a dystopian.
That's weird.
It was a wild sensation. I think that happens more frequently than we're aware of. So
Devil's advocate.
yeah,
What if that's just the 2020s and beyond's like new version of like a really positive thing?
yeah. Oh yeah, no shade. I want to be clear. I'm not like fuck these kids, but it was just a bizarre. Like just speaking to the phone thing. Like had we not had any phones, we would have all just sang along and probably like had it a little bit more, in person moment. But then we wouldn't be able to post it,
Then you wouldn't be able to post.
and then you wouldn't have the content, Stephen.
We need the content.
Yeah, it's not my generation. I'm
Sure.
not on social media like that, so it is a little bit. I try to tread lightly when I think about like judging it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
for
you said,
sure.
it seems like they're having a good time.
Yeah,
It's
no
a-
question. It was still a
it's
very
different way to do
positive
it.
experience. Yeah,
But I don't think that the music scene is better or healthier either.
Yeah,
given
sure.
the changes. Now that's not just because of that, but
Right.
But social media in general I don't think has made it better.
yeah,
I don't know if anybody can argue. Outside of that, I suppose you're more discoverable
Yeah.
theoretically,
right.
but
Tricky.
I don't know if the math works out there now
so tricky.
nowadays.
You got to
There
have
was
a
probably
combination.
sweet spot.
I think there was.
Yeah.
I really think there was a
early
really sweet spot.
Facebook or something like or early YouTube where
mean-
discoverability was through the roof.
Doomtree experienced it with Twitter early on. Like we were early on with that as we were like just doing van tours like TPC and being able to build up, and then with all of us, and then a Doomtree account and retweeting and blah blah blah. It really did make a big difference on tour numbers
Right.
and kind of like us directly connecting with people. And that was very short lived because then like everything else, it turns into a dumpster fire quickly. But
Sure.
yeah, I do think the beginning of anything like that can be really helpful. You just have to then diversify, because otherwise when you live and die by it, it's going to eventually turn into absolute hell.
It seems like in general the change from the technology is that the world is less local, period. Like because you engage more with information that is being distributed to you from around the world.
Yeah.
So it's just like local stuff that again, I agree this is not necessarily good. It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Local stuff is just like less impactful, and I think it's a lot harder to get attention on local stuff
Yeah.
necessarily. So like if you're a kid and you can listen to every possible recorded music ever at your fingertips,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily going to be like, what's the local stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I wonder if to some extent that starts to change, because at the same time, the devaluation of music, because you have everything at your fingertips, makes you're going to go, if you've got access to everything, you're going to go, well, let's dig into the classics and
Yeah,
figure out
right,
what everybody knows.
right,
you're
right.
interested in that. But then after
But
that,
then,
okay, well, what should I listen to? If the charts don't really matter anymore,
Right.
and there's too many options to pick one for any
Right.
particular reason, I think local could become more of a factor. in the future music industry again. And I think that that was something that we talked about on the phone beforehand, which was, what's coming back.
Yeah,
that used to be
right.
there. I kind of think it might, and it might just be wishful thinking.
Sure.
I can
But
see it.
but I do think that there's an element of, okay, because we make this decision already with other things, fashion, sports, things like that. Like, you cheer for your local team
Right.
That's true.
because
Yeah.
they're local.
Yeah.
They're here.
Yeah.
That's what we do. People wear their local brewery hat, the whatever is in the town.
Yeah.
It's like
They rep their
because
hood.
They rep their hood
Yeah.
partially out of pride, but also partially because it's an easier way to make a decision.
Yeah, right.
Do you really want to go look through every possible hat? No. Let's
Yeah,
wear the one
totally.
that's here because I'm proud of where I'm from, and this makes my life easier. It narrows it down.
Yeah.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
think you could see that in the music world to some extent going
And to,
forward.
to double down on that, thinking about this, a lot of the content on my feed that I engage with the most is local restaurants. Like, I
Sure.
follow all of my favorite local restaurants, and
Yeah.
they're like, it's Wing Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that looks sick. I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
Which is another very local experience. So that the similarity between all these things, I think, is that they are in-person based opportunities or experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a restaurant, you need to go to it. A sporting event, you need to go
Yeah.
to the game, right? That's where shows need to matter more for music,
Yeah, and I think success lies in tying local community stuff and making the events extremely enticing to go to,
Yeah.
and providing more than just, hey, here's some songs.
Here's
Sure.
a link.
We have algorithms that will play an endless list of music that we're interested in that sounds like stuff we've liked from anywhere in the world. So, I think as a local band and local event promoter, you have to think of like, but how else could we be of service outside of that to, like, yes, it is about the music, but about being a part of something.
Yeah.
Because even I'm sure for you guys, as you were as the Plastic Constellations are getting started, some of it's about the songs, but a lot of it is also about just being in the scene.
Totally.
And having that hype and momentum, and it's fun to be here.
1,000%.
sure.
And getting the chance to like open up and like win over new people, right? Like you get to open up, you get to crush it. I've always loved being the opener, or especially the main support, because you just get to slide in, you not steal, but you like welcome in any of the fans that were there for the headliner. You get to party earlier. The pressure's off. You don't have to like be worried about all the ticket sales as much, and you basically just get to like, it's yours for the taking. It's the best. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I just loved it.
I completely agree. Shows matter,
Yeah,
and the best way to get people to your shows is to have friends.
Yeah.
That's simple as that.
super
Yes.
helpful.
100% agree.
Friends who are willing to come and see you, and then the promoter's like, "Oh, that band
Yeah.
brought out some friends.
Yeah.
Come again."
Yeah.
And that's also how you build a scene from the ground up, or build a community from the ground up. It starts with the people you know, and then it grows to the people they know, and then that's how it grows, right? But I do think there is this feeling of like, oh, it's cheating if it's just like 40 of my family members in the crowd. Like, that's fucking awesome. Way to go.
Absolutely.
A body is a body, and the fact that you have that support is a really good indicator that you could grow it as well.
Yeah, I agree. That's where it always starts.
Yeah.
If you're trying to do it based on just the songs and you want to be faceless and not a personality at all, I'd say it's better off playing the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Songs better be incredible, or you get so lucky that it just like has some weird viral thing.
Right.
Like, but
Yeah.
that's a absolute crapshoot.
I was going to say, or then
you
lean
might
in-
have a better chance at the lottery.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you just lean into the obscurity, like you're like The Weeknd when his first EP came out, and you want no one to know who you are, and that's your thing.
Yeah, but even that, I bet if you trace it back, how many other like well-connected people
Yeah.
that helped promote that
Without
tweeted it.
question. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
There was a plan.
There was a plan.
Yeah.
Like, yes, but it was still well-connected.
Yeah, totally.
And there were big people behind that. So, and I think it's important to say that because there's still people that believe that'll work.
Right.
And I do not think it will.
It's very rare.
It's
A very
elaborate,
rare
like you
case.
said. It can, but you're spinning the wheel.
I think the other thing is like, if you start from the beginning with the idea that you just have to blow up and be the biggest thing, that's a really daunting place to start from. Like when we started our band, we wanted to write some songs, mostly to play with each other. And then it was like, oh my God, like if we could play Sethtoberfest or whatever, which is like our friend's
Shout out
Halloween party in his parents' basement. And then like, 20 kids were into it. And we're like, oh, that's so cool. If we could just play in Minneapolis now. And then we got to do that. And like the slow, always having a carrot and always being driven, but starting slow and making your next thing that you're going to knock off your list achievable is a really much easier way to slowly build. And you also don't get into like the crazy mental illnesses that will come from like, why wasn't I on MTV tonight or whatever.
Right.
And I think for us, it was a slow and steady up until the end, basically.
And I'm thinking what you just said is interesting. We also didn't have instant validation or rejection from not seeing numbers go up.
Right.
Like, whereas that's what bands have to deal with now.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
you put something out there and like, there's not a lot of views.
Yeah,
not a lot of
right.
clicks,
You actually
or-
know what the numbers are. We just didn't know what the numbers were, so we didn't have to
no
think
idea.
about it.
It was, are we having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was that.
That was that. Now like, there's no going back from what it is now.
Correct.
Like we can
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
for the way it was, but it is this now.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
I mean, I think we can pay less attention to the numbers, especially if you really are like real with yourself about like what you want out of this thing and why you're doing it. I mean, I think that's where it starts. If why you're doing it is only for fame, money, whatever, then that's going to be really tricky. I mean, it's good to know your reason, even if that is your
Well, that's
reason.
why I thought we were getting back together. That was fame and
Well, I mean, now we know that. Now it's very clear why we're getting back together. But so I think that's part of it, setting like manageable expectations and also like knowing, I don't know. And I've definitely, as someone who continued kind of a career in music, essentially has been my job for the most part since we disbanded. I definitely got to a place pre-COVID where it was a job. And the passion and like kind of the thing that drew me to music in the first place was diminished. Mm-hmm. And it was essentially like an office job that I was working between running label and managing and things like that, which is rewarding. But I had lost touch with just like, why am I even doing this in the first place? COVID, as much of a killer as it, or just like it was brutal on everybody.
not so good for music.
Not so good for music, but
Live music.
it did almost allow me to renew my vows with the act of making music and being a fan of music. And I'm so grateful for that, honestly, now, because I don't know, I'm just more aligned with why I do this. Like if all the money goes away, I still need to make art. So if you feel that, then make your art and pay attention to the numbers less.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it can be helpful to make a plan for your art and make a plan for your money
Yeah, right.
separately
There you go.
at the beginning,
Yeah.
and have a good plan there, because I feel like there's less of a path forward probably than there has been since the music industry became a thing.
Yeah.
In terms of like, here's how you can recoup your costs. I think that's getting harder and harder. And so
yeah.
I think just having that be separate. And then if the art stuff is just like green light after green light after green light and things look really good and you get some opportunities and it's just, then go after it. Don't let anybody stop you. But have a plan for the money on the side.
Yeah.
Because it's when you try to do both that it gets really confusing, because often the things that you need to do to make money can make the music stuff pretty tough. Like, right now I think a lot of that comes down to like brand deals and social media and
Sure.
clicks and numbers.
Sure.
And that can sometimes align with you as an artist, sometimes, but oftentimes it doesn't. It can feel like they're at competition with each other.
Yeah.
And so if they don't have to be one and the same, you might end up enjoying yourself a little bit more.
I think that's well put.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. And speaking of rides, like get in a car or a van and just go and play places is what I like. That was our lives starting very young. My shout out Bob and Rosemary, my parents, who allowed us
and
to
Rosemary, shout out.
borrow the Toyota Previa minivan,
Great car.
go on our first tour, like almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Went out east.
Yeah.
And we were playing coffee shops and house shows, and Jeff booked that thing.
Absolute disaster of a tour.
We lost everything.
Not a well booked tour.
But that experience, and it doesn't have to be 2 weeks. It can be 3 shows makes a tour. We've already established that. But that is such a like pivotal early moment for me of like, this is the most exciting thing I've ever done. We're just on a road trip. We're friends. We're locking in. We're also collaborating. We're meeting people in every town, even if it's 2 people. There's still like the band that's playing with us on these 3 shows. Members of that band are the ones that took us out on that first tour when we were in like 10th, 11th grade.
Let's talk about differences of touring in the 20s versus the 40s.
Oh boy.
How have the
I
logistics
have no
changed?
experience with the current day except for the one coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. I would say the good thing is you don't have to, a tour doesn't mean you have to be on the road for a month to 2 months anymore, which is good, unless you're huge, and then great. But you really can still get that same experience from doing a long weekend.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. Like, even getting a long weekend, a deep dive with your people to just like have those moments. When I think about those shows, the thing I think about almost more is like the late night drives in the van where we're trying to keep each other up, and the stupid ass jokes that we would make and things like that. Like, those are like the life experiences that I will cherish for the rest of my days. So that has to be factored in there as well. It's not just about, did 100 people come to your show that night? Those are experiences I'll never forget. Anyways, it's also extremely hard to do it, and don't expect to make any money. Expect to lose a lot of money.
But the other great thing about it, even though you're not making money,
Yep.
is you learn that you can sleep on the floor underneath the table,
You can find shelter under a kitchen table.
and that's okay.
That's
What
the
do you
best.
think the table is really giving you at this moment?
Protection from the sun coming.
Yeah. I mean,
Because you went to bed at 4 a.m. so
yeah, right.
You're
With a
sleeping till
PBR
11.
cardboard box over your head. I mean, we are getting hotels. We just practiced 2 days ago, and we made the band decision that we will be getting hotels on this
We
run,
posted up at the Courtyard Marriott.
which is something that we did maybe twice every
Responsible.
tour. We like splurged, and we all shared one hotel room
Yeah.
because that was how little money, I should say, we had.
And then the approach would be like, well, we have this much in the band fund.
Yeah.
And it was usually 3 digits.
Why not?
Like, well, we have $500 in the band fund. We're doing pretty good right now. But we have to pay for gas, and and you would always have the notebook and like,
Oh yeah, I had the
okay,
notebook
this is how much we have to
Yeah.
get there. And be like, I think we could pay $90 to $100 for a hotel room tonight.
tonight.
That's going to be the Motel 6.
And that means we're not going to get a hotel for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
But that was an absolute luxury then when we were in that thing. But yeah, we are going to do it. That's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Courtyard.
But we did. I mean, on tour, we literally from stage every night would announce, hey, we're on tour. We have no place to stay. Is there anybody in the crowd that would be willing to put us up on their floor or on their couch? And then after our set, instead of going to sell merch at the merch table right away, we would post up at the bar and try to like talk to people to suss out. And then we would meet up and be like, who's lead? Whose
lead seems better.
Yeah.
It would
Is
always,
there a lead?
ideally, it would involve like that. It was not like a single dude.
Yeah.
Because like if a single dude was like, yeah, me and my roommates got a spot, that place is a shithole.
Yeah.
But sorry, I swore.
Can also be cool.
But if he was like, yes, me and my girlfriend, I'd be like, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Any couples?
That means there's maybe a candle in the back.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. There's definitely there's different levels for sure.
Yeah.
But that was how we did it, and that worked. And now we've graduated to
Courtyard Marriott.
a Courtyard
Really
Marriott
good for sponsorship.
for 3 nights, 2 nighs really, because the third show is here in
I
town.
use the
So
Well,
Bonvoy app.
don't
It's great.
don't just throw out the other lead. I would say, you guys on stage, still
Yeah.
find out if anybody's willing to throw you up.
yeah, exactly.
Source out the leads.
Compare
You never
notes.
know. You
Compare
might beat
notes.
out the Courtyard Marriott.
Absolutely right. But I do think like just the act of, I'm going like it's bigger than music, y'all, with this, but like the things we learned from being in a band, cutting our teeth, being DIY, whatever, doing all this stuff are things that I to this day use every day of my life. We almost wrote a book about this called Boss to Boss.
We did.
We literally had like a layout for this book because it was going to be like 2 best friends who went completely different directions, are technically CEOs of companies, even though mine is the record label that I started with my friends. And his is more,
This book we never wrote to be part of the podcast.
it's part of it because we still talk about this. Like the things we learned in that van, being in a band and making music together and going out there and putting ourselves out there. I use those lessons every single day of my life, and not in music.
Yeah, same.
I teach my kids those lessons. Like it has made me the person that I am from just taking the leap and getting in a car.
I would go so far as to say that everybody, at least like in the high school years, would benefit from being in a band.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the collaboration that you're forced to do and the communication that you're forced to learn,
Right.
and the the very
Yeah.
introductory but entrepreneurial stuff that you do are all such valuable life skills.
Totally.
100%.
And I think the word networking does the feeling of that a disservice, but just having to talk to people that you don't know, having to like put yourself out there and having to then win over the sound guy who like hates you.
Or just being behind a mic.
Being behind a mic, meeting the bartender at the venue and like they don't like you and you have to win them over. And, you know, just like the human skills of being a person in this world, priceless.
Yeah, I would say there's other experiences that I'm sure are similar, but that's one that's beneficial on so many levels.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of curious about this because I also think that the types of friendships that come out of the bands are different.
Ooh.
So
take.
you guys have been, you know, in bands and friends, but then also not played music together
Yeah.
as friends. What do you think changes when you're in a band together, like during that era, when you're actually jamming together, that feeling versus just being buddies on the side, getting together with your
Yeah.
kids and so on?
Well, there is something about having a project with your friends. And it doesn't have to be a band, but a band is a great project.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But something where you're like, we're friends, but we also are trying to make this thing happen.
Together.
That like creates a bond that's different.
Yeah. It's exactly right. The friendship is the heart of it, but then now you're like hyper focused on this shared vision. And then so everything just gets like ramped up, I think.
But I think working together is where you get to take your relationship to a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being friends is great, but when you work with somebody, as long as it doesn't fall apart.
I was going to
of
say it's a
course.
make or break moment.
Yep.
I mean, that's like taking the relationship to
But
a
working
new height.
together is, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you can go deeper.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And like so when we've been friends since 7th grade, I think we started writing music together like in early 8th grade.
Yep.
So we'd only we had 1 year of our friendship.
Yeah.
We weren't
We just like bought records and listened to bands.
like we just immediately went into like, well, we'll make music together.
yeah,
So
totally.
and to have it happen at an early age meant we didn't have a lot of baggage or other like
Yeah.
ego
Yeah.
or drama.
Yeah.
That I
Grew
mean,
up
it's like,
together.
I don't think we would be as close of friends now, obviously, if we hadn't
Totally.
always had music together.
Yeah. 1,000%. I will say too, though, the beautiful part of, because there was a part of me that was worried like, oh, when the band is gone, what does that mean for our relationship? Is this still, are we still best friends or do we grow apart completely? And actually when the band stopped being kind of our main focus, because it had gotten to the point where that was really what was kind of bringing us together because it was so much work.
Mhm.
When that washed away and we had a little bit of time, I felt like we got closer because then it was just like, I want to be here. I want to know what you're up to. Like, and we didn't have all these like to-do lists necessarily. So that's been like a real surprisingly cool part of it for me.
So start bands, but then break them up, and your friendships will get strong.
Yeah. Start with that.
Going down sort of memory lane here, in hindsight, when you think about the things that the Plastic Constellations did, what moments stand out to you as being bigger now than they felt then?
Yeah. I mean, like anything, I think you take it for granted while it's happening. I mean, I think getting to open up. So this is like one of my favorite memories is we got to our first show we ever played in the Twin Cities actually was at First Avenue, opening up for Low on one of their yearly Christmas concerts.
That's a nice first show.
And we were in high school. We had only released a demo. We had a demo tape essentially.
I think we were in 10th grade.
And shout out to Chris Keyser, who worked at Orfolk Jokopus Records. She stocked our demo tapes in the little local section. They were probably $3. Alan Sparhawk came into town from Duluth and was asking Chris behind the counter, are there any cool new bands in town that you know about? You're right here in the city. And she was like, the Plastic Constellations. And she gave him our demo tape. And he called, my parents' landline phone number was on that tape. And he called me. And he asked if we wanted to play First Avenue Main Room. I may be embellishing this, but I truly believe I hung up the phone thinking I was being pranked. And he called back.
I thought you were shitting me when you called me to tell me.
Yeah, right. Right. It's like Tuesday at a school night or whatever. And then we got to not only open up for and play First Avenue with Lowe. We got to meet Lowe, who was like, we were going to see them at the entry on the Sunday afternoon shows. Like, I remember sitting cross-legged on the floor watching them after Curtain Hits the Cast came out. And we were like, not only hanging out with, playing with, like I was so freaking scared. And I remember talking to Ellen and Mimi beforehand, just like, I'm so scared. And they gave me game. We broke every string that night. We
played awful.
Our amps like broke. Everything. We learned how to cut our teeth from stage banter because of that night. Because every song there was something that took like 10 minutes to fix. But like that in the moment I was like freaking out. But now I look back and I'm like, I can't fucking believe that happened. That is the coolest thing.
Big then and maybe even bigger
Huge.
now. Yeah.
For me as just a person now, having been through it and having a lot of ups and downs in music, like,
But there was no way you could have fully appreciated it. even
Unbelievable.
then, you know, that's so cool.
And I think at that age, you think maybe that your life is going to be filled with these moments consistently, right? Like, oh, this is just like, now we're there. Now every night is this. And you realize how rare things like that are.
But to circle back to a theme we've been hitting repeatedly here about you just got to go out there and meet people.
Yeah.
The only reason that happened is because you were going to Orpho like once a week
Yeah.
to buy records, and you struck up a friendship with Chris Keyser, who worked there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Who then we were like, can we get our tape in here? And she was like, yes. And then she would play it and tell people about it. One more story like that. Our favorite band was Lifter Puller.
Yeah.
We
I was
loved.
going to suggest this story if you didn't.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
We adored them. It was kind of the first local band that I was like, this is actually my favorite band, period. And the Lifter Puller then turned into the Hold Steady. It's Craig Finn's band. I remember we had just gotten email addresses. I think
It was a wild time.
it was a Hotmail address for me. You were an AOL.
AOL. What were you?
Yeah, what were you,
Hotmail
Steven?
first.
Hotmail?
Hotmail first.
Yep.
Jeff was fruit13 at AOL.com.
I was 13 years old, and I really liked fruit roll-ups.
He loved fruit roll-ups.
I didn't think about the implication of fruit,
No, it's perfect.
so I got a lot of like interesting.
We were in the message
IMs.
rooms. Yeah. But I'm going to Chicago with my dad to visit his parents. My grandparents live in Chicago. And we get to the airport and we're sitting down waiting at the terminal. And I look up and I see Craig Finn, who to me is like the biggest rock star in the world. And he's just sitting there. And I had already sent one of the first emails I ever sent from my Hotmail was to probably his Hotmail, the email address on the back of the Lifter Puller CD. Just same shit. Just saying like, I love your band. I listen to this album all the time. I don't think there was any ask. There was no like, check out my band. There's no links at that point. It was just, I love your band. And I had to let you know. So then I went up to him and I said, I'm that guy that sent you that email. And we struck up a conversation. I had the demo tape on me, gave it to him. He's going on the same flight. This is where I want to shout out Bob Mader one more time, because this is like
That's his dad, to be
that's my dad. This is the most daddest thing you could possibly do. And I hope I'm able to do this for one of my kids someday. We sit down and I'm like telling my dad, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, that's Craig. I just gave him the tape. He gets up, he goes back to where Craig's sitting, and he asks the person next to Craig if they'd want to change seats. And so then I go back and I sit next to Craig.
for the whole
And
flight.
for the whole 47 minutes to Chicago O'Hare or whatever the fuck, I get to sit next to Craig. I hope Craig at the time wasn't like, oh, fucking shit. But we talked the whole time, and turns out that weekend was super rainy. I get an email from him in the next week, and he's like, man, I just walked around Chicago all weekend in the rain, and I listened to your band's demo tape, and I loved it. Would you want to open up for us at the Foxfire? And then we opened up for our favorite band in the world, the Foxfire. Years later, we get signed to French Kiss Records because Craig's band, The Hold Steady, is signed to them. They've blown up.
Yep.
He brings out the label guys to our show at Pianos in New York City, convinces them basically to sign us, I think, and then takes us on tour as soon as our French Kiss Records debut album comes out. It's like the
Go meet
craziest. It's the craziest shit. I still get breakfast with Craig when he comes to town. Like, that's a lifetime of hangs just because of a airport interaction.
I love that. And I think that absolutely still happens and can be a thing. But I also want to encourage people that are listening to this, that are booking or in bands, that are looking for opening bands, to still make some decisions that way. Don't just make it based on the numbers.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Because I think so much of it now is, oh, cool, you're in a band? Let's look it up.
Yeah.
100 monthly listeners? Nah. And that's where we are as a society.
Yeah.
But that's bullshit.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with it, and it's like the relationships are more important, and it's not everything. Granted, that is a shortcut into whether or not you might have any draw. I get that, and that's
Right.
sort of important. It's a
But,
business.
but back to the enjoy the process, enjoy
Yeah.
enjoy the community. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know how to. I don't know how to get around that.
I know. I think we are entering an era, though. It was bound to happen with just oversaturation and everything too.
Yeah.
But we are going to have to reach a point now where people have to decide why they're doing this, because the cool shit is going to melt away, and it's going to really boil down to like, do you love doing this? Do you want to do this thing? Numbers aside, and that is going to kind of like separate the, what do they say? The wheat from the chaff.
I think they do say that.
Do they say that? It's going to separate the wheat from the chaff.
I also think to some extent we have to start being mindful or intentional about being small. And what I mean by that is, of course, if you're a venue or a band or whatever, it's like, we want this to be as big as it can be.
Yeah.
We want as many people in the door. We want as, because you're running a business, especially for a venue.
Sure.
I think that's
sure.
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think maybe as somebody who's putting on an event, start looking at it as, actually, no, I'm going to try to put it on in the smallest space possible, where there can only be 20 people.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stop trying to be as big as possible, because that's what these numbers are all about, is
Totally.
popularity and big.
Totally.
Maybe we just stop trying to do that. If that's not the goal, and
Yeah.
you actually make the goal as how exclusive can it be?
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily make for a good business. I get that. But it does make for a great experience.
And it can work to grow it. I
can.
seen Dessa early on. She was like, I just want to have every solo show be a sellout. But a show could be 20 people and sell out, right? Like I played Berlin for a Laserbeak EP release show, and it sold out, and I was so excited.
Great show.
But it's like 45 people paid tickets to get in. You know what I mean? It's an easy win. Plus, then you can use that to your advantage when you go to the next venue and say, oh, I sold out this place. And you just, again, slowly stepping your way up. I mean, I think a great example on this is like Jeff had a band called Tight Jeff, has a band called Tight Jeff.
More had.
After Plastic Constellations, and it was your rock band project, and you were the lead singer, you wrote all the songs. But you were playing, where was the first show? Terminal Bar.
Oh, the Terminal Bar. Have you
Shout
ever
out
seen a
Terminal.
show at the Terminal
Shout out
Bar?
Terminal Bar.
Been a minute, but yes.
Yeah,
What a crazy little
fun.
spot.
What a fun night.
I think we should start a movement to make the Terminal Bar like the center of
Get
the
it going.
scene.
Get it going.
Let's get it going.
But I don't know. That was a similar thing. It was like all our friends and family and stuff like that. And it was like such a great, that was your first show, and it was perfect.
We agree with you is what we're saying.
Yeah.
We like it. Start small and maybe stay small.
And stay small. That's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at. It was like, actually get known for the experience,
Yeah.
not for the numbers.
Yeah.
Because if you can intentionally remove yourself from the numbers, where it's like, well, yeah, because only 20 people get to see this at a time,
Yeah. Right.
and that's the point,
Totally.
that could be something that we could build on potentially.
I'm kind of actively pursuing that idea as Laserbeak, the solo project, because I now have a musician, Zach Baltich, who's playing with me. And we are going for small, intimate rooms. And it's certainly helpful that the ticket sales also are small and intimate to begin with. But like, it is cool. It's a cool vibe to just be like, it's a different feeling to be in a room staring at the 25 people that are there with you. And it starts to feel like you are all part of a band in a weird way. It's very cool. And it's very supportive and encouraging. Like you feel the claps harder. Feel the claps, y'all.
Feel the claps, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been great. I
Don't
love
get
it.
the clap.
Don't get the clap, but feel the
Feel
claps.
the claps. I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
you were trying to.
Yeah, it has been great, but we're not done, Steven.
Let's
So
let's talk about the dates that are coming up.
Yeah.
Where are the shows? What are the dates?
3 shows counts as a tour.
Yes.
Is the name of the official tour with our best buds, Tornavalanche. They're based out of Iowa City, Chicago. We're doing Chicago at the G-Man Tavern on April 16th. Then we're doing Milwaukee the next night on the 17th of April. That's at the Cooperage. And
Yep.
then the last final show is our local Twin Cities show at the Turf Club in St. Paul on Saturday, April 18th.
that's what I'm talking about. Prepared. This guy prepared.
I love it. So Turf Club, April 18th.
Yeah.
The Plastic Constellations reunion show. What are you hoping people are going to feel? What do you want out of this show?
Just fun, man.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I want it to rock so hard.
Yeah. I want people to have a great time.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be honestly kind of like a reunion of these people too, in a way. Like I've had a lot of people reach out and be like, I'm so excited to see the show, but also I'm so excited to see you. I haven't seen you in 6-7 years, or like people that, aren't your they're acquaintances. So you never have a chance to connect. Right. So I hope it just feels like a big old reunion party.
Yeah. Big old party.
Yeah.
Bunch of friends, bunch of drinks. Yeah. I can't wait.
It's gonna be great.
I can't wait. And I also can't wait for the next day for like a breakfast and oh my God, we did it. That is my favorite. That's truly my favorite part of playing live music is the next morning.
What I hope is some kid hears the podcast and then walks up to one of you guys with like a little demo.
Yeah. Bring your demos. Bring your demos out.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be the best. And to be able to do this at 43 with your best friends for life is can't put price or words on it. It's the absolute shit.
Yeah. Agree. Well, thanks. If anybody wants to follow you guys, just personal, I mean, you want a social media accounts.
You have more of a legitimate following. Laserbeak, I would recommend going there. I actually have all my accounts private.
Yes. So you're going to have to request.
You're going to need to request.
But that maybe is part of this stay small thing and build up the hype. So let's put it out there and let's get some requests for you here.
At Jeff Allen. I was one of the first joiners of Instagram, so I have just a straight my name.
Wow. And it's JEFF. There's no G in there.
Looking forward to the requests.
Yeah, bring them in. Bring them in. Let's get this thing. Let's run up the numbers. That's basically it. That's pretty much where you can find us.
Guys, this has been fun. Fun to hang out with you this
having me.
morning.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our first podcast.
This is a great format, too.
Yeah.
Like the setup in the studio.
Yeah.
Having to drive out to the kind of far away from the city, it makes it fun, too.
Yeah.
Good thing you got going.
I appreciate it.
Well played.
We're going to throw all the links in the show notes. We'll do some extra promo here for the show,
Thank
too,
you.
after this is done. If there's any, one thing that we always end the shows with is a secret back to the scene. Is there anything that you guys want to share about, from this conversation, or maybe just anything that's been top of mind that you would like to pass on? If it was your 17-year-old, for instance, what's that kind of tip that you'd pass
Right,
along?
I forgot about this part.
If you have a tip.
You gotta have a tip, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that the theme of everything we've talked about here is meeting people in person and saying hi to them is the super secret. Being nice.
Yeah, I think that if you can, buying people coffee and buying people lunch goes a long ways. Mm-hmm. And just hitting people up to meet up, and even if it is a cup of coffee or a walk around the lake, and without separate intentions necessarily, just to form a relationship.
Yeah.
I love that. I still do that to this day. And people are often surprised, halfway through lunch, they'll be like, all right, so what's your pitch, man? Why did you bring me here? What do you need from me? And I'm like, I don't need anything. I just wanted to I like you. I just wanted to hang out and spend some time.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. I think actually intentionally figuring out something else besides the main agenda is actually a really good strategy. If you have maybe there's a hobby that you're both interested in, or you have an interesting trip, or there's just something else to talk about, have that worked out so that you could potentially have an entire conversation about something besides your music, about somebody else's music or whatever.
Yeah.
And let it be just that, because that'll actually drive maybe a little bit more interest into what you're doing at some point. If it comes organically, don't just be out there for your pitch.
And a hang is a win in my books. That's a win. You have that. I always tell people any response is a win, because even if you send your music out to someone and they write back it's not for us, now you have at least created a dialogue. And you can say, oh, all good. Is it cool if in a year when I have some new stuff, I send that your way? Or if I'm in town, I could go buy you a drink. That's some long game, strong game shit right there. And that's some boss to boss if I ever heard it.
So you asked for one single secret tip. I think you just nailed it, which is a hang is a win.
A hang is a win. And also long game, strong game, though.
I think I'm more focused on that. A hang is a win.
A hang is a win. Yeah, hang. Let's hang.
All right. Well, with that, for everybody that tuned in, we appreciate all of our regular listeners. If this is your first episode, thanks for joining us. Please subscribe, share it with a friend. All that goes a long way. And don't miss out. Turf Club, April 18th, the Plastic Constellations. It could be another decade and a half,
Oof.
so you got to take it when you can
Yeah.
get it.
Who knows how many strings will be broken? It's hard to say. Yeah.
We'll see y'all next time.